Welcome to 13 Degrees of Screams.
We're your hosts, Stephanie.
And Alex.
And this week we hallucinate an absurdly happy demon in Smile.
Smile is a 2022 American psychological supernatural horror film written and directed by Parker Finn. The film stars Sosie Bacon as a therapist who witnesses the bizarre suicide of a patient, then goes through increasingly disturbing and daunting experiences that lead her to believe she is experiencing something supernatural. Smile has 80% on Rotten Tomatoes with a critical consensus that states, deeply creepy visuals and a standout Sosie Bacon further elevate Smile's unsettling exploration of trauma, adding up to the rare feature that satisfyingly expands on a short. It has a 77% audience score that states, you may need to pay close attention in order to keep up with the story, but fans of slow-burning horror should leave Smile with a grin. So, Stephanie.
Yeah.
First video podcast ever.
I know, very exciting.
For those of you watching on YouTube, you could see that we are, in video, but if you're listening on any of the podcast platforms, you could follow us on YouTube if you want and see our faces, because we're going to cut in some movie clips and that kind of a thing. So we're going to try something new.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy. We're just going to keep smiling really weird because Smile.
It's Smile. Yeah. It's the movie. It makes sense. So, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Had you seen Smile before we watched it for the podcast?
No. And I don't need this.
You don't need this?
I don't need a trauma monster out there. I don't need that.
So
no good.
You didn't like it?
No.
You didn't like it because it was scary or just didn't like the movie? Or both?
A little of both. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like that they killed the cat. It was no good.
Stephanie, okay. We have a friend, Matt. And we mentioned him probably several times on the podcast. I think he influenced you.
I feel like I still would have felt the same way if they kill an animal.
Well, yeah, but we've watched movies where they killed animals and you didn't hate it.
This was like very in your face though. Like some movies they cut away and you just know that it happened. They were like, let's play with the body. Like, that'll be fun.
Okay.
Let's make a child hold the body. Like,
so take out that scene then. Do you like the movie then?
I guess I just don't know how I feel about the whole allegory for mental illness and everything and how it ended.
Okay. Which we'll talk about in the plot, I guess. I thought it did a good job handling trauma, especially how she talks about people taking their own life. The way she phrases it. And like a lot of the characters talk about like people being nuts and crazy, but our main character is not like that.
Right.
So I thought it did a pretty good job with the whole trauma theme.
Oh, yeah. Like, the stigma portions of it were really good and very accurate, I feel like. But I just think it was a kind of a bleak ending for what they were going for. And meh.
Oh, my God. I cannot believe this.
I don't know. I think it's because it also just scared me a little bit too much. Like, I'm still, like, thinking about it. Like, I don't like that.
I saw your rating on the movie list. I'm like,
she's not ready.
She's not prepared. Because we covered Deadstream last week. Mm-hmm. And you had that higher than Smile. I was like, oh no. Oh no.
I thought I knew enough going in. I was like, it's going to be cheesy, goofy. Not goofy as in like, it's purposely silly. Just like, yeah. I know it had like a lot of similar tropes to other movies. Mm-hmm. So I was like, nothing out of the ordinary for me. And I was like, wrong. No, thank you. I will be leaving now.
Were you like halfway through the movie and thinking, what the hell is happening? Or...
No, like I knew it was going to have dark moments because I heard it compared to like more silly stuff because of like the similarity tropes to like Truth or Dare, I think was one of them. But I knew that they were also trying to go kind of A24-esque dark at times. So I knew it was going to be a little more intense. I don't know why I didn't bump up the scary factor. I thought it's just people cartoonishly smiling and injuring themselves. Like, there's nothing more here. And then we get to the end, and I was like, oh, I hate that. I hate that a lot. Like,
yeah, the ending creature. I mean, again, spoilers. We talk about the plot every time, but there's a creature at the end, and I don't know about that, but the rest of the movie, I like it a lot. I thought it was a good movie.
I mean, I'll still see the second with you when it comes out, so it's whatever. We have a horror movie podcast. It'll happen.
Yeah, it's almost like we gotta watch scary stuff sometimes. Did you notice the similarities between this and It Follows?
Yes, a lot. I still prefer.
Yes, the end.
Yeah, yes, I did. No further comment. I prefer It Follows more just because there is no real entity. It's just people. Like, I mean, it isn't really people, but there's not as many creepy factors as this, with the incantation that it could just rip off its skin and just be like that.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think what bothers me more about it is it feels like something that's more likely to happen for Smile, for me, because I'm like rationalizing, like, well, It Follows, like, I'm happily married, like, I'm good, I got Charlie, we good, like, that's all we doing. And so, you know,
oh, I see what you're saying.
Like, no one's gonna come after us unless somebody cheats or something. So
that would be That
would be quite the wake-up call.
Right, exactly. Like, why is this demon following you all of a sudden? Wait a minute.
What did you do?
Someone passed it on. I got you.
Yeah, maybe that's It Follows too. Or They Follow.
They Follow, yeah. I think that's the sequel.
Yeah, I think we just made the plot for that.
That's what we do. We always come up with a sequel for them.
Yes. With Smile, especially with it being like trauma-based and stuff like that, like, I feel like, yeah, you're much more likely to just accidentally see someone kill someone or accidentally harm themselves and kill themselves. And then you are carrying this trauma demon. That's... The hallucinations also messed with me too. Like, there was so many times where she stopped and I was like, I just don't know where we are right now. Like, is this
hallucination?
Real? Yeah. So that would really mess with me. Like, I would have like locked myself up pretty soon.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, It Follows, not to do a comparison between the two movies. It Follows, it's very simplistic. It follows you and you're dead. This taunts with you for a while.
Yeah.
And then it does the bad things to you.
Yeah. And I feel like It Follows, there was more of a solution. And this, it didn't seem like a very good one. Like,
well, yeah, there is
one solution.
I mean, there is one. It's not great for you, because you basically got to be caught in the act. Mm-hmm. So that's fun.
Yeah, and I'm sure being incarcerated after all those hallucinations isn't quite a picnic, even after you're free of it, you know?
Yeah. No. Yeah, I don't know. I'll just die. It's fine.
No, I think we're just all done here.
Yeah.
So, just a couple facts before we get started with the plot. Paramount originally planned for the film, which had a low budget of $17 million, to be a streaming-only release on Paramount+. The film was screened for test audiences and scored much higher than anticipated, prompting Paramount to give the film a theatrical release in the United States. It grossed $22 million over its opening weekend, which Paramount's distribution chief, Chris Aronson, said exceeded our wildest expectations.
See, it tested really well because it is a good movie.
Sure.
I felt that.
Sorry.
Damn. Sure.
I'm just keeping it honest.
Mm-mm.
Also, when the Paramount logo is shown in the trailer, it is immediately flipped upside down so that the Arch of Stars resembles a smile.
How fun.
Yes. Lots of fun little winks to that. Like, she's holding a smile mug at one point.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, like very early on, like pretty much right after the inciting incident.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Ready to get into the plot?
Yes.
We start off in a nightmare. We see a woman, presumably dead, lying in a bed surrounded by clutter and pills while a child looks on in the doorway. Screaming awakens therapist Rose Cotter, who, while working in a psychiatric ward, admits a man named Carl, deemed harmless after witnessing him having an anxiety attack about how everyone is going to die.
Fair. I mean, I'm Carl.
It is the truth.
I mean, everyone
eventually.
Does. Yeah. He's not wrong. He's just reminding everyone constantly. It's like, thank you, Carl.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. I was having a good day.
No, I'm not.
Right. After being reprimanded for working too hard, she packs up to go home, but is called in to meet hysterical graduate student Laura Weaver. We learn that Laura recently witnessed her professor kill himself. Laura claims she's not crazy, but she's being terrorized by an invisible entity that keeps appearing to her as various smiling people, even her deceased grandfather, telling her she will die soon.
No!
The entity has definitely spoken to Carl.
Yeah, maybe.
I think
he knows.
I think he does.
Carl is the entity, actually.
Maybe. That would be something. There is one point where at first when she and Carl are talking, when she's initially taking his like little interview, he says something about like, it's all around me, you just don't understand, and like you can't see it. Mm-hmm. So it kind of does sound like maybe he's experiencing his own trauma entity thing.
The entity knows he has too much trauma, and he's like, you know what, I'll let him go. It's fine.
Yeah, like I'm not ready to eat like a huge big meal. Like that's like Thanksgiving. I'm like in the middle of a regular work week. I'll save him for later.
Yeah. Did you know that this whole Laura Weaver situation was a short film and it was played by the same actress?
Yeah, I found that in one of my facts later on. It was called Laura Hasn't Slept. It was a short film that the director Parker Finn did that inspired this. I guess it exists on the Blu-ray disc for special features. We should
watch that. We should
do it's very different.
Yeah.
Different direction.
We should do a little mini-sode where we watch that.
Yeah, sure.
You're like, no, absolutely not.
I mean, if it's completely different, sure.
It's worse. It's scarier. No. Actually, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I assume it's less monstery because it sounds more or less mental healthy.
So Smile is like technically a sequel, if you think about it.
Already, yeah. It has a prequel, I guess.
Well, a prequel would have come out after the original. So
no. Okay. Got you.
Smile is just a straight up sequel.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Interesting. Suddenly, she seems to be seeing something coming at her. She starts freaking out and seems overcome as she gasps for air, causing Rose to call for help. When Rose turns back to her, Laura is quiet and calm, now smiling as she fatally slits her own throat.
And it's like a long take. She like really just
goes in there. Yeah.
Slowly does it. And Rose is just like,
standing there watching her. I'm like, couldn't you interfere, run out, make sure there's a nurse coming? I don't know.
I don't know. I thought, but maybe not. Maybe you're not supposed to do that.
Maybe not. I'm not a therapist, so I can't tell you, but I don't know. I just feel like standing there helplessly, also not the right thing to do. I mean, she had called for backup. They're just not coming fast enough.
Yeah, you'd think in a hospital, if you're, calling for backup, it might be somewhat of an emergency or
pretty
something.
Bad, yeah.
But again, I also don't work at a hospital, so what do I know?
I guess so. And I mean, I'm sure every time someone calls something in, it's an emergency, so.
Yeah. And also, with a hospital, that shade of pink that's on the walls is supposed to make you feel happy. Which is why that's why they selected that color pink.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very pink hospital.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I guess I just didn't take into the account. Like, it wasn't, like, I guess since it is a psych ward, I guess I wasn't expecting the whole, like, sterile white, because that would be a little too, like, on the nose for classic psych ward. But yeah, I guess it was more warm colors. Interesting. I wouldn't associate pink with happy, but I do like pink. I just assume that it's one of the colors I like, so.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's that like, specific shade of pink, too. It's not just like any pink. I think so, yeah. I forget what it's called, but I think that's why they use that color.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Rose is then questioned by 2 detectives as they press that they're going to have to explain what happened to Laura to her family. Rose states that she was suffering from post-traumatic stress psychosis, and the one detective brushes the diagnosis off, calling Laura crazy. At home?
See,
yeah, that's just rude.
Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is strike 1. And this is one of the instances.
Many strikes. So many. Go way past 3.
Like 500. Yeah. Approximately.
Mm-hmm. Like, please stop.
Yeah, I know. Like, don't use that terminology.
Don't say the crazy word.
Yes.
At home, Rose briefly sees Laura standing in the shadows, but she vanishes when her fiancé Trevor arrives. They will go out to dinner with her sister Holly and her husband, where they discuss their childhood home. Holly wants to have it demolished and sell the land, but Rose angrily refuses.
I mean, if you're not going to do anything with it, and we do see it later, I'm like, maybe just let it go.
It doesn't matter. Like, if you don't think about it, technically, it's not even happening. Like, you're not going to visit it either, so.
No, not till later in the movie.
Like, in your mind, it's still there, but.
Yeah, if you're never going to see it again, it's all good. Just sell the house.
Just let it go.
But, oh my God, Trevor and Holly, they are something else.
Yeah, she was annoying. Holly is like the quintessential like housewife kind of girl, but also like has too much money kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like you get the vibe. Like she was like, I'm so busy between play dates and going to yoga. Like I can barely get to my spin class on time.
That like, must really suck for her.
Yeah, that your whole day is designed around what you want to do.
Could you imagine?
Mm-hmm. Because I'm pretty sure her child's old enough to be in school. So, you know, she drops him off 8 to 3:30. That's a pretty good chunk of time.
Yeah. Just
to do whatever you want.
Yeah, because she doesn't work, I don't think, right?
No, she's a stay-at-home mom.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. That sounds great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm not jealous.
Sure.
The next day at work, Rose looks more into Laura's records and finds that Professor Muniz killed himself in front of her with a hammer while smiling. Great.
Yeah, that's see, we kind of throughout the movie find that this happens more and more. That's enough for me to be like, wait a minute.
Red flag, yeah. Like, I don't know why hasn't anyone connected this. Like, feels like the police should be like, the person she saw take their own life saw someone take their own life. It's kind of like a pattern.
Right. Something that specific.
Yeah.
I think you only need two times.
How many suicide calls are you attending where you're like, not seeing that this is all related to each other? I don't know. It's strange.
Like, that's enough for me to be like, okay.
And everyone clearly talks about it, so it's not like a hidden fact. Everyone's like, oh, they acted weird after last week when they saw such and such happen. And you're like, oh, why aren't we doing anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they would do about that outside of I would take Rose and lock her up. Yeah. And, like, watch her. You know?
I mean, I think that would be technically what the police could do, or put her under surveillance for the first week, you know? So make sure she makes it into the next week at least.
Right. I don't know. But that, just twice, that's enough for me to be like,
right. Yeah.
Something ain't right. Something's wrong here.
Joel, the other detective, and apparently her ex, comes to check on her, but she sends him away.
I don't need your help no more.
No. The nurse, though, like, that was looking on, like, took her shot. She was like, I'm single. And I was like, yeah, you get it, girl.
Yeah, I'm like, good for you. I would do too. It's fine.
Right. She's engaged, but I'm free.
Exactly.
Right. Soon after, Rose passes Carl's room, where he's sitting on the bed, smiling strangely like Laura, and yelling how Rose is going to die.
Thanks for the reminder. And, you'd think, again, that she wouldn't really think anything of that, considering Carl has said this before. Mm-hmm. But she's like...
Yeah, but I think it's because he keeps focusing on, like, you're going to die. You're going to die. At first, he was like, everyone's going to die. I'm going to die. Everyone's going to die. You're going to die. But then it became focused as if she thought it was threatening.
He was just mad at her that day. That's all.
Mm.
I think that's fine.
Carl was having a bad day.
He's about to have a worse day, too.
Yeah.
No, Carl!
No! Feeling threatened, Rose calls for the nurses to restrain Carl, but realizes it was a hallucination and he was actually asleep the entire time. Concerned that Rose is overworked and now traumatized, her supervisor, Dr. Morgan Desai, orders her to take a week away from work. And I was like, why weren't you dismissed anyway? I feel like after you see something that traumatic, you should just go. Like, you shouldn't just keep working.
Yeah, especially in her line of work. Like, that's enough to be like, yeah, I need a little break. But she's just a workaholic, obviously, because of what happened in her past.
Yes.
So I'm like, if my boss wants to force me to take a week off.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I'm going to go.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
I can think of plenty of other things to do.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Rose stops to buy a train for her. I don't know why I was thinking like a huge train, like a real size train.
Yeah, I don't know why you would think that, but were you like waiting for the present to show up and it be a giant real train?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I think that's why I was so disappointed throughout the movie. I was expecting the real train to come.
This is the moment you're like, you know what? I don't like this movie.
Yeah. There was supposed to be a train.
Huh. Oh, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Oh, Stephanie.
Rose stops to buy a toy train for her nephew's birthday, then goes home. While wrapping the gift alone, she hears the security alarm go off. Panicking when she sees the back door ajar, she answers a call from the security company, but they menacingly ask if she accidentally let something in.
They're like, are you alone? Are you sure? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Or ask if someone's there. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like,
is something behind you, Rose?
Oh, wait a minute. I feel like they wouldn't ask you that.
No, I don't think so.
It's because it's not the real phone call.
Yeah. Then the phone rings again, and we realize she wasn't actually on the phone, as it was another hallucination. I'm like, great. Feel so comfortable. I feel so safe in my environment. The police and Trevor arrive, determining no one's in the house, but they do realize her cat Mustache is missing. Later that evening, Rosa...
Your face is like, eek.
No good.
And can I say Mustache is a great name for a cat?
It is very cute.
I love it.
It's a cute little cat. And they do terrible things to it. Later that evening, Rose is listening to a recording of her session with Laura and hears something in the background whispering her name. She's startled by another hallucination, brandishing a knife right as Trevor walks into the room, and he has to bring her back to reality. And I was like, okay, you're definitely gonna have to be, like, under observation for a minute. You know, like, that's extreme to go for a weapon like that. Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, I would check myself in. I'd be like, you know what? I need to sleep. This is too much.
Yeah, I need observation.
Someone observe me, please.
Please
Look
watch.
At me. Notice me, please. Notice me for a long time and make notes about it.
Yes.
That's what they're asking.
It's the only thing that'll calm me down.
Look at me.
Concerned about her mental state, Rose visits her former therapist, Madeline, to ask for a prescription, but the therapist isn't convinced that she's delusional, just suffering from past anxieties and the guilt she feels over her mother's suicide. They agree to start doing sessions regularly again, despite Rose seeming uncomfortable with the idea. I don't know if she's just kind of like one of those people like, I'm a therapist, so I don't need therapy. It kind of seems like that was her perspective. She's like, seemed like she wanted to be over whatever her issue was. But I was also like a little judgy of the therapist not wanting to give her medication as well if she was asking for it. Yeah. Not saying it would help her situation, really, if it's not just all in her head.
Yeah. It's like do as I say, not as I do type situation.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to tell you to go to therapy, but me, nope.
No. That's not for me. I'm done. I'm all fixed.
Girl, you pulled out a knife. No, right. You are not.
You're not done.
Nice try. But yes. No, not quite.
Sometime later, Rose attends her nephew Jackson's birthday party, but things quickly turn terrifying when Jackson unwraps his gift to find Rose's dead cat Mustache.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, hard to talk your way out of that one.
Gotcha, Rose. Like Stephanie watching the movie. No, she didn't actually do it, but you would still try to blame her. Like, what'd you do?
Did you pull a knife on your fiance yesterday, and now you bring a dead cat to this children's party?
Mm-hmm. You would blame her.
I think it's time. Yeah, of course I'd blame her.
Do you think she actually did it, though?
I don't know.
Well, like
you see her take the gift out of the closet before she wraps it. I don't know, like, when the cat got in there.
Yeah, I guess she did it in a sense, but, like, wasn't all there.
Yeah.
Because I doubt that. Just imagine the entity killing the cat and, like, wrapping it up. Like,
putting a nice little bow on it. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, get her.
I don't know, but I feel like it terrorizes her the whole time to get inside of her to be able to control her. So maybe it took on another form and did it and put it in the box.
Maybe.
And was like, this is enough. But it seems a little bit more practical than actually like a hallucination compared to everything else it does. So
yeah, I don't know. This thing is it's definitely smarter, but it's like what it can actually do is kind of vague. But
yeah,
you know, we're just gonna skip past the scene anyways, because
obviously this sends all the party guests and her family into hysterics because they believe she killed Mustache and gave it to her nephew. I
mean, that's a fair. I mean, yeah.
Are you going to jump to, like, obviously a monster is haunting her. She's fine, guys. This is a terrible thing that's happened to the cat, but it's not her.
Right. Do you think that they were like, okay, Rose did it, obviously, but she's not all there? Or do you think she maliciously did this? Like, do you think they think she maliciously killed the cat and gave it to her nephew? Like, that'll teach him. Little bastard.
I think so. I think like they just think like she's dangerous and she doesn't realize that she's doing this.
That's fair. I feel like that's at least a little bit more sympathetic as opposed to just thinking she's bad.
She really didn't want to tear down that house. Like here's a dead cat.
Don't ask me again.
Rose screams and cries that she didn't do it while holding the cat's body, then falls and breaks the table when she sees the entity smiling at her. Rose is taken to the hospital to treat some bad cuts on her arms. Her boss Morgan comes to check on her, and she plays it off as an accident while her sister Holly and Trevor argue about the situation in the hallway. Trevor takes Rose home where she tells him about the entity making her see things that aren't there, but Trevor is distant and claims this could all be some mental illness that she inherited from her mother. I'm like, not the right time. Not the right time to talk about it. I think we just all, go to sleep. Maybe talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's one of those things like you don't like the character of Trevor. At least I didn't. But he makes a good point. Like, it's worth asking the question. Again, not at this very second, but it's worth asking that question, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's because she brought it up, too, that he's like, well, by the way, since we're talking about it, I think what you're saying is bullshit.
Bullshit.
Funny thing, I know you don't watch The Boys, but he plays a superhero in The Boys.
Oh, does he? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he is A-Train in The Boys.
Okay.
Very controversial character, in my opinion.
Oh, is he?
Yes. I mean, all of the superheroes are really controversial anyway. You just need to watch it.
Knowing what I know about The Boys, it seems like a very interesting show.
Yes, interesting.
That's a word for it.
Yeah.
Oh, no. We'll do a Boys podcast. We'll just watch the whole show.
I'd be really down for that whenever you're ready. just call me. We'll switch it out.
Stephanie decided we're taking a little hiatus from horror movies, and we are doing, how many episodes are there probably?
Oh, there's at least 4 seasons.
How many episodes a season? 8?
8.
No. Okay, so like 32 weeks, half a year. We're just doing The Boys. Yes. Sorry.
Then we'll just resume regular programming.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. He asks her if she killed the cat, and she argues it was the entity, but he's had enough of this conversation, and they retire to separate rooms for the night. While trying to sleep, she hears the voice of her mother calling to her and telling her she made a mistake. Rose starts to panic, but is startled to find herself in the street, almost getting hit by a car. And, like, that's also really upsetting to lose that much time. Like, you were asleep in bed or about to be, and now it's broad daylight and you are in the street.
Yeah, like, I hate taking a little nap just because I feel like I waste time, and then I wake up, I'm like, what year is it? Like, that's the epitome of that. Like, that sounds terrible.
Yes. Also, like, her character gets more ragged as we go on. I found it was, like, really good casting with her and the mom, like, because, like, they almost look identical by the end. Which is crazy, like, in a sense. Also, I thought the woman that plays Rose, Sosie Bacon. I wanted to make sure I said her name right. Apparently Kevin Bacon's daughter. Didn't know that. And also, I thought she looked a little like Hilary Swank. I know Hilary Swank would have done this, but...
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And not to, like, talk about looks and appearances, but she looks older than us, I feel, because she's younger than us in real life.
Oh, really?
But I don't know if it's just the maturity of the character or
I mean,
by
she
the end
seems
of it.
very, like, bright and energetic, like, in the opening scene and stuff, but then it just, like, wears her down, I think, is the thing. So, like, she looks, like, drastically older by the time the movie's over.
Right. Yeah. And I think she's, like, a year younger than us. And it's like, oh.
Yeah,
I would have thought she was,
think it's
like...
just, like, very good makeup and stuff. And
that's fair. Yeah, because I also think they, like, aged her clothes, too, as she was...
Yeah, because she started, like, wearing, like, longer sweaters and, like, more classically older, mature clothes. And, but I've seen pictures of her outside of this. She definitely looks her age there.
Yeah, she looks way different. But even at the beginning of the movie, she just seems... I don't know if it's just her role, like... When I say role, I mean her profession. Yeah. She just seems, I don't know, more mature, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I could see that. Rose visits the Professor Muniz's widow, Victoria, and asks about his behavior leading up to his suicide under the guise of being a reporter. Victoria explains that it was small changes at first that gradually built up quickly to the point where he was hearing things, then talking to himself, or doing things he didn't remember. When Rose asks if he ever described what he was seeing, she takes her to his office where he's drawn hundreds of dark images, including a sinister one of his deceased brother that he never got over. And Victoria states that everything changed after he witnessed a woman kill herself at a conference.
Yeah.
I wonder how it's all related.
I don't know.
The mystery.
I don't understand.
Rose asks what the woman's name was, and Victoria isn't sure, but when Rose tells her the truth that she's experiencing the same thing her husband went through, she gets very upset and throws her out.
That was, I mean, I guess I get it, but also, I feel like I'd be intrigued. Like, wait a minute. Yeah. How are you all tied into this? Like, especially if I had that connection. But again, easier said than done, you know. I'm not in that situation.
Right. And I think Victoria also is very traumatized just by being a bystander to it, honestly. Like, they do cut to her identifying her husband's body, and it's not good.
Oh, yeah. It's like a jump scare from The Ring, if you remember, where it shows her distorted face. She's like, I had to identify him. It was like, whoa.
Not good.
No, not good at all. Not fun.
No. Rose finally goes to Joel for help, who pulls up the previous victim's files prior to Muniz, and they piece together the pattern that someone will witness another person take their own life, and they will do the same in the following week. Rose takes home a copy of the files to do more research, but finds Trevor and her therapist Madeline waiting there to give her an intervention. Rose feels betrayed by Trevor as she told him about her problem in confidence and claims that he's just upset that everything's not going smoothly right now. She then storms off to see Holly to try to explain what really happened again with the cat, but her sister accuses her of sounding just like their mother, and Rose shoots back that she abandoned her with their mother. Holly apologizes for not being there for her, but points out that she's done everything to move on with her life while Rose hasn't. Rose yells that at least she's helping people while Holly's a useless housewife, and her sister tells her she doesn't want to speak to her anymore. She goes to her car only to have another hallucination of her sister twisting her neck unnaturally to smile down at her.
That's the best part of the whole movie.
Really? I mean, it's very startling. I was like, we saw it in the commercial. I remember this specifically.
I hate that they put it in the trailer. I'm like, why?
It's just a good, quick jump scare.
They ruined it.
Yeah. I knew it was coming, but it's still like, ooh.
Yeah. It's a little unsettling, just like.
Can I say, though, at this point, like the hallucinations, aside from Mustache being killed, I thought going into it, seeing all of like these weird interactions with people, we were going to see more people take their lives while she was hallucinating these. But I didn't think they were going to be hallucinations. I just thought they were going to be facts. And she'd just have like a wake of bodies following her around until it came to a climax or something. But
no,
so then to realize that she didn't really have any people dying around her, it's just the images of it.
Yep. It's just her.
It's different than what I expected.
Yeah. It's just, it just wants her. Nobody else doesn't care about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Rose drives away and receives a call from Joel, who found that there's one break in the pattern of victims. A man witnessed someone take their own life, but then killed someone several days later, and the person that witnessed the crime took their own life in the following week, resuming the pattern. On the way to meet the man, Robert Talley, who is now imprisoned, Rose tells Joel that she doesn't believe Laura purposefully killed herself, and that the entity somehow took over right before she died. Additionally, she realizes that she's near the end of the week since the incident, and Joel vows to not let anything happen to her.
Joel, I appreciate that, but what you gonna do?
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem very good. Maybe you should stay away.
Yeah, I mean, that is the answer.
Yeah, like only phone calls from now on. Like,
yeah, like I appreciate Joel wanting to help, but like, buddy, unless you like strap her down and leave her alone forever, like there's really nothing you could do.
Yeah, yikes. Under the guise of being a therapist searching for help with her patient, she interviews Robert, who explains that the entity feeds on trauma, and Robert explains that her patient will have to kill someone as bloody as possible with a witness to get rid of it. When Rose yells she won't kill someone, Robert freaks out, not wanting the curse given back to him, and they leave.
Could you imagine if, like, that was the time the entity was like, this is it?
I remember you.
Rose turns around and kills herself.
Mm-hmm. And he's the witness again. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that freak out. I would have been not happy.
The entity taunts her as Madeline and tells her her time is almost up. We cut to Rose now at work with a knife. She goes to Carl's room and stabs him when Morgan comes in and starts to peel off his own face. Uh-oh, it's another hallucination.
Oops, all hallucinations.
Yes. And she's still sitting in the car. Morgan confronts her, telling her she should come inside, so she isn't alone, but that gives her an idea. She becomes terrified by a hallucination of a bloody Carl, and she speeds away to her abandoned childhood home. Joel calls her, telling her that the psych ward has put an alert out on her, stating that she's dangerous, but Rose says that doesn't matter as she's going to face her fears alone. Hoping to not pass on the curse if she dies alone, she waits in the abandoned house, and the entity calls out to her as her mother again. She finds the entity disguised as her mother in the bedroom, and it's revealed that Rose chose not to call for help for her mother during her overdose because of her abusive behavior. And I was like, oh, that's real bad. That explains a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that she just like, well, sorry, Mom, gotta die? Or she was like scared? Because she said she was scared of her, right?
Yeah, she said that she saw her as a monster and that like she couldn't bring herself to call for help because she was terrified of her.
Yeah. So I don't know if she necessarily was like, you deserve to die, or she was just, I'm just
I don't know.
afraid
Her and the
of
entity
everything.
kind of like hash it out a little, which I was like kind of weird that they're having a therapy session about this.
Over tea. They're just like, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Like, why do you hate me, Rose? Like, I'm your mom, remember?
Yeah, I remember, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You were not very nice.
Mm-hmm. The entity transforms into this tall, gangly, smiling creature, and the two struggle on the floor when Rose reaches over and hits it on the head with a lantern, setting it on fire. And I was like, oh, this works. She can go away now. Like,
yeah,
Rose,
you'd think.
Yeah, Rose flees the house as it goes up in flames with the entity inside, and she goes to Joel to tell him it's over, but realizes when he smiles that it's just another hallucination. And I was like, we're focusing too long on her and Joel being together and being okay.
Yeah.
No good.
Yeah, obviously couldn't be real. I mean, I'd be okay with the ending there, right?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Happy ending. No.
Right.
No.
Mm-hmm. In truth, Joel has located Rose by tracing her phone to her former residence and finds her outside. Overcome with fear, Rose rushes back indoors where the entity shows its true nature. A grotesque, skinless, semi-human creature with several misshapen jaws lurking within a large, grinning mouth. The horrifying sight of the entity renders Rose catatonic, allowing it to invade her body through her mouth. It's disturbing. Like, yeah. It's huge and just, like, opens her mouth and, like, climbs inside. Like,
yeah, they use practical effects for a lot of this, too. They built a fake Rose where the mouth would stretch, and there was a dude in that suit. That monster suit.
Yeah.
It's great. Lovely. Love that.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that for us.
We appreciate it.
Uh-huh. When Joel forces his way through the front door, he witnesses a smiling Rose ignite herself in flames, transferring the curse to him.
He could have just stayed away.
It was so obvious. He knew everything, and still he wanted to save her so bad. I was like, it is too late.
Yeah, so you saved her by condemning her. Good job.
Mm-hmm. Either way, like, you had to stay away from her. You could not witness it. Otherwise, the curse is going to continue. Like, what did you think?
He was not
Even
thinking.
If you wanted to help her. Like,
there's nothing he could have done, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So, good job.
Yeah. So, just a quick explanation of, like, you know, all of the interpretation of the mental illness allegory I wrote down. Obviously, the Smile film is a metaphor for mental illness, with the Smile entity being an allegory for the grin and bear it mentality of those that are emotionally suffering. The struggle of having to feign happiness to be perceived as normal is evident in the film as Rose loses control over her own mind and actions. More and more people distance themselves from her. There's also speculation that the reason the entity only takes a week to kill someone is due to the victim's growing lack of support and resources, showing how quickly a person can deteriorate without some form of community to embrace them. With the movie clearly stating that the monster feeds on trauma, it's clear to see the pattern of how trauma builds and affects those around it, such as having the death of a loved one and how the grief influences yourself and those around you as you try to cope. The film's unsettling ending illustrates the cyclical nature of trauma, proving that confronting inner demons may sometimes lead to a horrifying fate. Despite it not affecting the audience rating of the movie, some were disappointed that the main character couldn't overcome the entity in the end, leaving a somewhat bitter message of there's nothing more you can do if you struggle with mental illness. While insinuating at the end that the curse will follow Joel next, the director stated he didn't want to retread the same events as the first film and wants it to stand up entirely on its own, despite Joel being listed in the returning cast.
Oh. So I wonder if the sequel will just right where this one left off.
Yeah, I was wondering if he'll be like the transitional character.
Yeah.
Because we see the commercials and it seems like it's going to follow like a pop star of some sort.
Yeah. Interesting. I could see the disappointment with the ending. Being like, well, you're screwed either way.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. Even when you think you've figured it out, it doesn't work.
Well, I mean, I guess although part of it is just saying how, like, to your point, what you said about your resources kind of dwindling. Like, it's just, I think it's like a cautionary tale. Like, this will continue to go poorly if we don't help people.
If we don't seek help. Yeah. I guess that's true. It's just that I felt like she was really, in the end, like confronting her fears and really like dealing with it. And they hash it all out with her and the creature, honestly, talking to the creature as her mom and everything. So it feels like a really like groundbreaking moment where she like admits what she feels guilty for and all of that. And then to just be like, even though you've grown, no. Yeah.
And it's funny because Joel is trying to help at the end. Yeah. And it's like counterintuitive. So actually, don't get help.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
She would have survived if she didn't get any help. It's not right.
No.
So, what did you initially rate it as before you saw it?
Oh, I was a silly little goose, and I rated it a silly little 8. Like it wasn't going to bother me at all.
And
then it really bothered me. Yes.
Yeah, what would you give it after the fact?
Probably a 10 or 11.
Okay. So 10, we're in the I can't unsee the zone. 10 being the lowest of that. That's what I gave it. And I had seen this movie before, so.
I don't know. I'm still like, thinking about it. So maybe even an 11 for me, because, yeah, it's pretty high.
Yeah.
Don't like that I did that for that, but
right.
It is what it is.
Yeah. It's funny that it's a movie about people smiling. Really, for the most part. I mean, there's jump scares, but like that's the scariest thing is people like smiling until the end.
Yeah.
But the tension is like.
Yeah. Well, and then I think since we're like following her and she's the one directly experiencing all of this, like the hallucinations are the worst for me of just not knowing. Like, I just can't foreseeing a way to get around it because, well, you might just be in another fucking hallucination. Like,
are you hallucinating? Stephanie, are you a hallucination? No. Yes, you are. I knew it. This whole time, I'm talking to nobody. Don't smile. Like... yeah, no, this is a disturbing movie, I think, for sure. I was like, Stephanie's not gonna have a good time. I've only seen it one time, and I was like halfway through it the second time for the podcast. I was like, oh shit. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Stephanie's gonna hate not like this.
Yeah. No, I didn't, but I will watch the second one to see what happens. I hope they can come up with a better resolution. Maybe
this time she'll actually deal with the trauma and maybe like that was the whole plan. The first one was like, this is what happened if you don't get the help, and this is what will happen if you do.
Yeah, maybe. It is counterintuitive though with the whole like if you get help, technically you'll have a witness.
Yeah.
To see it happen.
There's better help, which is, which
is a therapy platform.
Yeah, I said that out loud. That's not what I meant by that, but
but sponsor us.
Yeah. Oh God, Smile is sponsored by BetterHelp. But you know what I mean? Like the help that she was getting wasn't the right help.
Yeah, I guess so.
We shall see. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show and listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube, subscribe to YouTube first. Yes. But if you still are just listening to the audio and listen to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, giving us a 5-star rating is super helpful. And we always appreciate it.
Yeah, please like and subscribe and comment. That would be fun.
Yeah.
We'd love that. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can find us at 13 Degrees of Screams.
This has been 13 Degrees of Screams, and we will see you next week.